Have you ever wondered why certain memories still make your chest tighten, even years after they occurred? Or why specific words from someone can instantly transport you back to a moment of hurt, as though it happened yesterday? You're not alone in this experience. Many of us carry emotional wounds that refuse to heal completely, influencing our relationships, our self-perception, and our daily choices in ways we might not even recognize. Welcome to this conversation about the journey of healing from emotional wounds that still hurt. I'm going to share insights and practical approaches that might help you understand your pain differently and begin a genuine healing process. What makes healing from emotional wounds so challenging is that, unlike physical injuries, they're invisible to others and sometimes even to ourselves. The path to emotional healing isn't always straightforward or quick. It's more like tending to a garden, requiring patience, consistent care, and an understanding that growth happens in its own time. But here's what you might find surprising. The process of healing often begins not with forgetting or suppressing the pain, but with a willingness to acknowledge it fully. Let's explore how we can approach these persistent wounds with compassion and practical wisdom. Stay with me until the end, because I'll be addressing some aspects of emotional healing that are rarely discussed openly that are crucial for lasting recovery. First, let's understand what's actually happening when emotional wounds persist. When we experience something painful, whether it's rejection, betrayal, loss, or criticism, our brain processes this information not just as a thought, but as a full-body experience. The amygdala, our brain's emotional processing center, logs these experiences as potential threats. This explains why years after an event, a similar situation can trigger the same feelings of panic, shame, or hurt. This isn't weakness or an inability to move on, it's your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you from perceived harm. Understanding this biological reality can help us approach our wounds with less self-judgment. Your persistent pain isn't a character flaw, it's a protection mechanism that's working overtime. What's particularly challenging about emotional wounds is that they often form during periods when we were vulnerable, perhaps in childhood, during major life transitions, or in contexts where we had limited power. This timing matters because these experiences shape our core beliefs about ourselves and others. If a significant emotional wound occurred when you were young, it likely influenced how you see yourself in fundamental ways. Consider this real-life example. Someone who was consistently criticized by parents might develop a wound around their sense of competence. Decades later, even minor feedback at work can reactivate this wound, triggering disproportionate feelings of shame or inadequacy. The present situation isn't causing all that pain. It's touching an old, deep hurt that never fully healed. I want to emphasize that healing doesn't mean erasing these experiences or their impact. Rather, it's about changing your relationship with them. It's learning to carry these stories differently, so they inform your understanding of yourself without defining or limiting you. Before we continue diving deeper into the healing process, I want to take a moment to invite you to subscribe to this channel if you're finding value in our conversation. By subscribing and hitting the notification bell, you'll be part of a community exploring these meaningful life topics with depth and nuance. Each week, we examine aspects of human experience that often go undiscussed but impact us profoundly. Now, let's return to our exploration of emotional healing. The second key aspect of healing involves developing a practice of self-compassion. This might sound simple, but for many people carrying emotional wounds, self-criticism has become the default response. When old wounds are triggered, the internal dialogue often turns harsh: "Why am I still affected by this?" or "I should be over this by now." Self-compassion interrupts this pattern. It asks you to speak to yourself with the same kindness you would offer a friend in pain. Research by Dr. Kristen Neff has shown that self-compassion isn't self-indulgence. It actually leads to greater emotional resilience and more effective action than self-criticism. Try this practical approach. The next time you feel an emotional wound activated, place a hand on your heart and acknowledge the pain with simple words: "This hurts," or "This is difficult right now." This physical gesture combined with acknowledgement can help regulate your nervous system and create space between you and the intensity of the emotion. The third essential element in healing emotional wounds is the process of meaning-making. Humans are naturally driven to make sense of our experiences, especially painful ones. Without conscious meaning-making, our minds often default to harmful interpretations. This happened because I'm unlovable, or this proves the world is dangerous. Meaning-making involves revisiting painful experiences with the wisdom and perspective you have now, rather than remaining locked in the interpretation formed when the wound occurred. This doesn't mean creating a false positive spin. Some experiences are genuinely tragic or unjust. Instead, it means integrating these experiences into a larger narrative of your life that isn't defined by pain. A powerful question to aid this process is, wouldn't this experience teach me that I might not have learned otherwise? For some, painful experiences have deepened their capacity for empathy. For others, surviving difficulty has revealed inner strength they wouldn't have discovered in easier circumstances. Fourth, healing often requires connecting with others. Many emotional wounds involve relationships in some way. Either they occurred within relationships, or they affect how we relate to others now. This means healing usually can't happen in isolation. This doesn't necessarily mean confronting those who hurt you, though that may sometimes be part of the process. More fundamentally, it means experiencing healthy connections that contradict the lessons of the wound. If abandonment wounded you, healing might come through relationships where you experience reliable presence. If criticism wounded you, healing might come through relationships where you're valued for who you are. Therapy can provide one such healing relationship, but so can friendships, mentorships, support groups, or spiritual communities. The key is finding spaces where you can be authentic about your experience while being met with understanding rather than judgment or dismissal. Finally, healing involves recognizing that some model of pain may always remain, and that's okay. Complete erasure of emotional pain isn't always possible or even desirable. What changes through healing is your relationship with the pain and its power in your life. Think of it this way. Healing doesn't mean you never feel the twinge of an old wound. It means you've developed the capacity to feel it without being overwhelmed, to remember without being consumed by the memory. The pain becomes a part of your story rather than a force controlling your story. This perspective shifts healing from a destination to a process, not something you achieve once and for all, but something you practice throughout life. Some days will be easier than others. Some triggers will still catch you by surprise. The difference is that you'll have developed tools to return to center more quickly. In closing, remember that healing from emotional wounds isn't about getting over your past. It's about integrating it into a more complete understanding of yourself. It's about recognizing that your wounds have shaped you, but they don't have to define you. Your pain matters and deserves acknowledgement, and at the same time, it isn't the entirety of who you are. If you found this conversation meaningful, please take a moment to like this video and share your own insights or questions in the comments below. Your experiences and perspective might be exactly what another viewer needs to hear today. And remember to check the description for resources to support the channel as we continue exploring these profound aspects of human experience. Subscribe if you haven't already to join us for more in-depth conversations about the parts of life we all experience that rarely discuss openly. What emotional wound has taught you the most valuable lesson in your life? I look forward to continuing this conversation with you in the comments.